Hello everybody, here's what's coming up tonight on Now. Governor LePage in some comments today talked about possibly taking out a sheriff that doesn't comply with ICE regulations. Sheriff Joyce, who everybody thinks he was probably talking about, will be joining us live in studio to address that.
Plus, we've heard all these health benefits of coffee. We're going to talk about one cup that could actually kill you.
And this happened yesterday, but everybody's still talking about it today. Protesting the national anthem and the NFL. We've got a lot to talk about on that. We'll hear from you guys as well.
This is News Center Now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. Governor LePage is planning to fire some Maine County sheriffs. At least that's what he said this morning on the Laura Ingraham Show.
When asked about refugee resettlement in Maine, the governor said that he's planning to have some immigrant organizations in the state of Maine investigated. Christina Rex is here to tell us what he said next.
Lee and Amanda, after that, the governor said he's planning on firing any sheriffs that won't comply with orders from ICE. Here's what he had to say.
And just last Friday, I'm issuing an executive order right now because we have a couple of sheriffs that say they're not going to work with ICE. Well, unbeknownst to them is the Maine Constitution says if they don't follow state law that I can remove them. And so there's likelihood you're going to be hearing some stories about some sheriffs being removed from their duties.
Afterwards, the governor went on to mention that he took issue with one sheriff in particular. It's likely that is Sheriff Kevin Joyce of Cumberland County, who announced just last week that he will stop holding some inmates for immigration agents because he says it's unconstitutional in some situations. But can the governor actually fire a county sheriff? Maine state law says that in order for a sheriff to be removed, the county commissioners may file a complaint with the governor describing in detail the facts of those actions or omissions and requesting the governor to remove that sheriff from office and appoint another sheriff in office for the remainder of the term. Now, I reached out to all 5 of the Cumberland County commissioners asking if there has been a complaint filed against Sheriff Joyce. 2 of them did answer me, and they said absolutely not. In fact, Commissioner James Cloutier said he knows, quote, of no complaint, and as far as he knows, the sheriff is completely correct about his stance relating to the ICE detention request practice. We also reached out to the governor's office again. Spokesperson Julie Rabinowitz said that there have been no proceedings for an executive order yet, but that Maine state law gives the governor the authority to direct county sheriffs to obey all orders relating to law enforcement which they receive from the governor. That includes complying with federal authorities like ICE. With us now is Sheriff Kevin Joyce. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me in.
Of course, you said you only found out about this a couple hours ago. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I came out of a meeting and I had a list of media outlets to give a call to. Basically, the phone blew up after word on this, so I'm here to answer any questions you have.
What's your initial reaction to hearing that the governor said this on the radio this morning?
Well, I think you mentioned that a sheriff can't refuse to honor an order. This is the problem. Detainers are not orders, they're requests. And by honoring requests, it puts us in liability. This is not anti-immigration, anti-ICE. This is pro-taxpayer. I'm aware that these cases have not held up. And if I hold somebody beyond their release date, I'm in essence falsely imprisoning them. And I won't do that. It's about a constitutional law, and I'm upholding that.
The governor said that he's planning on drafting up some executive order, and though his spokesperson said nothing has been done yet, it was this morning when he said that. Do you fear that there's a way he can put you out of a job?
Well, I'm doing what the taxpayers and the citizens in Cumberland County elected me for. Sometimes, as a law enforcement officer, in order to enforce the law, you have to maintain everybody's constitutional right. What they're in essence asking me to do is violate somebody's 4th Amendment, their 14th Amendment of due process. I won't do that. I'm a constitutional officer. I have to uphold the Constitution. Across the country, we're hearing about law enforcement officers that are violating people's constitutional rights. Here's a case where I'm trying to do what I can do. We don't act on just whims. We need probable cause. We need a warrant. All ICE has to do is give us a warrant. We're all set. Today, I've got 7 ICE inmates. A small percentage come by the detainer, so it's not affecting their operation. I'm just asking, do your job, do your job right.
Last question quickly. Do you foresee any kind of conversation between you or your department and the governor?
I don't believe so. I think he's got his perspective on this. And again, my job is, sometimes it's not the instant gratification. My job is to make sure we enforce the law. I'm a law enforcement officer, and I will enforce the law appropriately.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Christina. Despite what the temperature says, it is actually fall.
I mean, come on. How warm can it get? So warm that Keith, shockingly, is out of the building, and he's at the fair where he's likely expensing some type of corn dog. What's going on there, Keith?
First of all, Lee, I'm offended that you said shockingly. I spend lots of time in the great outdoors. Today, you're right, we're at the fair. It's such a weird juxtaposition, though, because it's in the 80s, yet it's a fall fair, right? People are selling hot cider, although not much, I don't think, at this point, and apple donuts and all kinds of stuff that is fallish, and it's so mild here. A lot of people, though, still turning out. Let's have a look at the temperatures. Right now, 90 in Berlin, New Hampshire. We saw some upper 80s out there from Bangor to Millinocket up into Caribou as well. Portland has been overachieving thus far as well. Dew points, look at those, they're juicy. 66 in Portland, 69 in Sanford, 73 for a dew point in Freiburg. That is a mid-July kind of dew point, and it feels like it. It certainly feels like July. Nice and clear out there. The showers that had kind of threatened on the small scale models have not materialized, and they will not do so for the rest of tonight. Watch the fog bank, though, roll in along the coastline by late tonight, early tomorrow morning. I think that will slightly reduce temperatures along the coastline tomorrow, but for the vast majority of the state, it is another hot day tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid and again upper 80s once you get about 70, 75 miles away from the coast. We'll get another mild day in on Wednesday, but a front will approach on Wednesday night, and eventually we'll see some showers Wednesday night into Thursday. That will begin the change in our air mass that will take hold as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There's Maria, by the way, something we watched very closely last week. Good news is it has slowed down, it has weakened, and now it is going to scoot out well to the east of Maine, so it will be really no impact at all on our weather. Guys, got a decent amount of complaints about the warmth, so coming up in a few minutes we'll talk about when that cooler air is going to arrive and how long it's going to stick around.
All right, sir, thank you very much. Please bring us back some food. That'd be nice. All right, this could be seen all over the National Football League yesterday. Players taking a knee or linking arms in solidarity during the national anthem. Some not even coming out of the locker room. The demonstrations came after President Trump criticized athletes who protest during the national anthem. The president tweeted multiple times over the weekend in disapproval of the players' decisions to kneel during that anthem.
Now, not just in the NFL, it's been something that's actually been discussed at the local level. Jess Gagne spoke with the head coach of the South Portland High School football team about how kids are actually reacting to what they're seeing professional athletes do. Jess?
Yeah, that's right. Coach Steve Stinson says that this is a conversation school officials have been having for a while in South Portland, and their answer is to continue to have an open dialogue with players. If a player decides not to stand and place his hand over his heart, Coach Stinson hopes that player would feel comfortable talking to him and the rest of the team about the reasoning behind his decision. He says the teenagers he coaches see what's going on in the world and have their own opinions, and they shouldn't be afraid to speak up about them.
We certainly address it with the kids when we go over how our protocol is for the national anthem, and you know, you have to be able to respect someone's choice if they choose to peacefully protest really anything. It's rights we have as Americans.
A lot of people shared their feelings about the NFL protests on social media. Jennifer said the professional athletes should want to show respect for the Americans that have given them the freedoms that they have. While John says not all Americans are treated equal under our flag, and this is a peaceful protest that he can respect. The NFL has said that those who are not on the field for the national anthem will not be punished, guys.
All right, Jess, thanks. Meanwhile, some current and former Patriots had a lot to say about 17 players kneeling during the national anthem yesterday. Matt Light played for the Pats from 2001 to 2011. He was pretty upset. Light told the Boston Herald, quote, "It's beyond disheartening. It's the first time I've ever been ashamed to be a Patriot, and I promise you, I'm not the only one." Meanwhile, in his weekly radio appearance when asked about President Trump's comments about NFL players, Tom Brady said, Quote, I certainly disagree with what he said. I thought it was just divisive. So
a lot of eyes on the Patriots yesterday, and actually our producer Ted Veripatis was at the game with his son yesterday. Now, you were actually talking to all of us, which is why we kind of wanted to bring you onto the show today, just about how weird that stadium was yesterday, just to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, I've had season tickets for 24 years now, so I've gone to a lot of games. I have never heard the level of booing at Gillette like I did yesterday when the fans noticed the Patriots kneeling on the sideline and the Texans not kneeling. The Texans were all standing arm in arm. It's as loud a booing as I've heard at the stadium, and they booed into the national anthem because they were so upset with the Patriots. This is the home crowd booing the home team. The gentleman was saying the anthem finished, and they continued booing when he finished. So now at the same time, while there's a lot of anger, 5 minutes later, Patriots score a touchdown and everybody's cheering. So, you know, I don't know how deep that level of resentment and anger was, but it was really surprising to hear, at least for me.
yeah, a lot of people were surprised that they just, whatever it was, they weren't doing the same thing, because the Patriots are always, you know, this cohesive unit. Whatever they do it together. So for half standing, half kneeling, I think a lot of people were upset at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans were unified. They all had the same message. And you look at the Patriots, half of them were kneeling, half were standing. Some were alone, just not doing anything. So it didn't look like they were prepared, I think, for that reaction. I think they were a little surprised by it. That's very un-Patriot-like. So, yeah, it was really weird, and hopefully they get this straightened out and the locker room is okay and that people will move on and figure this whole thing out.
Well, as we said, a lot of people talking about this, and we actually want to know what you think. What should the Patriots do during the national anthem? Just head to our Facebook page, hit the emoji that applies to what you think.
A little girl from Bethel who touched thousands of people across the country with her courageous battle against cancer passed away over the weekend at the age of 10. Haley Stewart was diagnosed with leukemia when she was just 5 years old. She spent most of the next 5 years of her life fighting the disease every step of the way. Haley and her family dedicated much of their time to raising awareness and resources for childhood cancer. Her one true love in life was Tom Brady. She and her family got to meet and spend time with the Patriots quarterback a couple of years ago. You got to think she helped the Pats pull out their last-second win yesterday with that beautiful giant smile on her face.
Coming up tonight on 207, they've got game and a league of their own. We're going to introduce you to some women in their 70s still playing competitive basketball. And we've got a preview of the shows Portland Ovations is bringing to Maine this year and next on 207.
Cans of Death Wish Nitro Cold Brew coffee are being recalled because they could actually kill you. Death Wish Coffee Company says it's recalling 11-ounce Nitro Cold Brew cans after finding its manufacturing process could actually lead to the growth of the deadly toxin botulin. The toxin causes botulism, which is a rare illness that attacks the nervous system. Symptoms start with weakness of muscles in the face, mouth, and throat. Consumers are being advised to throw away the product or return it for a refund.
Meanwhile, thousands of Target employees will be getting a raise soon. The retail giant announced this morning it's raising its minimum hourly wage for its workers to $11 starting next month and then to $15 by the end of 2020. Target hopes that the raise will help the company recruit and retain top quality staff and provide a better shopping experience for its customers.
All right, when we come back, we go to Keith Carson at the Cumberland County Fair for a full look at the forecast.
All right, Keith is at the Cumberland Fair where it's beautiful, it's fair-like, they've got good food.
It's a little warm for a fair, though.
It is. That's really the big story, what I was thinking about this morning, how warm it's going to be for what is obviously a fall fair. Check this guy out behind me. This guy is really a one-man party. You know, a lot of people say that, but this guy really has got it going on. All right, let's take a look at what we had for high temperatures today. Unusually warm, right? That's obvious. We were in the upper 80s. We did get to 91 in Berlin, New Hampshire, 89 in Freiburg officially, 83 in Portland. So these temperatures are a solid 15 plus degrees above average, and I don't think that's lost on anybody thus far. Look at the dew points, 60s, 66 in Portland, 73 in Freiburg. Some drier air up towards Berlin, but some of that's an elevation situation more than anything else. It's humid, it'll stay humid, and if you feel like it's been warmer than average this September, you would be right. Ryan Breton putting this graphic together for us, and Portland right now in second place for the warmest September, and in good position probably to close out maybe at number 1, and Bangor coming in at number 4 right now, and probably going to catch up with some ground today. There's Maria on the satellite presentation. It's lopsided, it is not symmetric. It is a low-end hurricane at this point. Good news for New England, the storm will clearly and easily go out to sea after it looked like it might threaten for a bit. So really tomorrow is a very similar day to today. It's a mild day. The only difference is the coastline, I think, sees some morning fog that hangs around a bit. That will reduce temperatures there. Otherwise, we stay warm Tuesday. We stay mild, but not hot on Wednesday before a front comes through Wednesday night, Thursday, with some showers through Thursday morning, and that will bring us our much cooler air and will also usher Maria down to the south there, away from us, again, quite cleanly off to the north and east. Hour by hour forecast showing you the fog tomorrow morning. I think that's going to be a factor along the coast. Rest of us, though, mid and upper 80s again on Tuesday and into the 70s on Wednesday, maybe upper 70s before we get this front through Wednesday night, Thursday morning. The front is relatively minimal in its impact other than that it brings in that cooler air. The cooler air settles in, no doubt, Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. I'm not convinced, though, long term, we're looking at that cooler pattern. I think we ridge back out mid next week, not upper 80s, but I see us being above average mid to late next week again. So I don't think fall is going to be here in any dramatic fashion for very long. The weekend right now, I've got a shower in on Saturday. I could be persuaded to take that shower out. I don't think it's a given. We'll watch the computer model trends here over the next couple of days and see if we can give you a totally clean weekend. Again, it's coolish on Friday. It's cooler than average on Saturday, back to average on Sunday, and I think we start trending back up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Again, I'm not thinking upper 80s, but I am thinking we'll be in the mid 70s again by mid next week, which is solidly above average. So guys, hate it, love it, either way, fall, I promise you, will arrive at some point shortly.
Right now, it's Maine Diego.
Maine Diego.
It's happening.
I think the Cavs are calling for an autograph, Keith. So, all right, much more coming up on News Center at 5:30. He led police on the longest manhunt in Maine history. Now, Robert Burton is on trial for the death of former girlfriend Stephanie Gengibo. That story and much more in the next half hour.
And we're back with your hometown showdown after the break.
Okay, it's Monday, which means it's time to vote for which matchup you would like to see as our hometown showdown.
For week 5, we're going back to Class B. Mighty Marshwood hasn't lost yet. The 4-0 Hawks try to make it 5-0, but the Westbrook Blue Blazers are ready for battle. Next, two 2-2 teams will meet in Brewer. The Coney Rams making the drive up 95 to take on the Witches at Doyle Field. And last but not least, a showdown in Cumberland. The 2-2 Rangers have a date with the Gorham Rams. You can vote by clicking on our Pulse app or going to pulse.newscentermaine.com. Voting ends tonight. We'll have the winner announced for you tomorrow.
All right, just enough time for some brain drops. Let's head back to the Cumberland County Fair. Hey, Keith.
Hey guys, today's brain drop is a little bit different than average. I want to talk a little bit about Puerto Rico because nobody else is talking about this. In a weekend in which most of the country spent all of its time talking about what 1,500 NFL players would do within a 2-minute period, no one's really talking about the crisis that's still going on in Puerto Rico after Maria absolutely crippled that island. You're talking about a situation where it could take 3 to 4 months to return power. There are 3.5 million people without power. There's almost no communication and almost no way in or out of this island because the airport, guess what, doesn't have power. It's running on a generator right now. It is a huge crisis there, and I am not disturbed, but I'm concerned that we're not talking enough about what's going on in Puerto Rico still. Guys, both conversations important, but I think we need to talk more about what's going on in Puerto Rico right now.
All right, fair enough, Keith. You know, we have just seen absolute devastation in a lot of these lot of these islands, and
Sure.
you know, we've talked about the Virgin Islands, we've talked a little about Puerto Rico, and yeah, it's just awful to see the images coming out
Well,
of it.
all the storms that hit all the places like Florida and Texas got hit obviously as well, but certainly have way more infrastructure, finances, and ability to go ahead and try to rebuild that. Where the little islands, like Keith was talking about, like Puerto Rico, certainly Dominica, St. Thomas, all those islands that don't have those resources and that ability to just build everything right back up. So it's going to take a lot longer for them than for the other places.
Yeah. Do we still have Keith, by the way? Is he still hanging out with us?
Well,
Mr. Carson? We've lost him to the cows, I guess. Hey, Keith.
She grabbed the candy apple.
There we go. There we go. Okay, now let's go back to this county fair here, because what did you get for food yet? Did you get some?
You know, I didn't yet, and you know I'm very picky, Amanda. And really the problem here is there's too many options that I'm kind of into at this point. We've got a lot of sweets. We got a lot of great beverages. I'm thinking about barbecue though, which is kind of a weird juxtaposition compared to all the livestock that is in this direction, and then the livestock is over there in a whole different light. But I think I'm gonna go BBQ, Amanda.
I mean, and I have to ask this because we were talking about it off camera. You're so close right now to where the livestock is located, and it's really, really warm. How's the odor?
You know, it's not really that bad. Let's go over to the livestock. I mean, they had the pulling area. That area was a little sketchy. Right here though, they've got the sweaters over here. They're doing all right. They're not too bad.
It's a little warm for a
I feel
sweater.
like I've smelled worse in the newsroom. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
That's a really good point.
Yeah, there is some truth to that.
That's a very, very, very good point.
It is. I think it's standard procedure. The sweater is standard procedure after you do the shearing.
Now, are you a rides guy? I'd love to see Keith on one of those twirly upside down things. I mean, do you do those things?
I think we have enough time.
While you're there, we could do it real quick.
You guys want to see some bad stuff happen to me at this fair. Let's just call it like you see it. You're like, oh, what are you going to eat? Are you going to go on the twirly thing? Are you going to go with the livestock? I will do rides. I myself am a roller coaster guy, and they don't have any real roller coasters here. I like to have a long ride with a lot of vertical, and they have mainly like the twirlies and the Ferris wheel. So yeah, I'm more like a big ticket roller coaster kind of dude.
All right.
The twirlies. All right.
We tried.
Well, listen, I think we've had a good 5-minute tour of the
Yeah, I was
Cumberland
going to
County
say,
Fair.
I think we're good now. Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much for sticking with us. We will see you for News Center at 5:30, which starts right now.